Hello, everybody, wherever you are in the world. It is our pleasure to be with here today. Two lover of the human psyche and especially lovers of the breath, conscious connected breathing. And here we are honoring and working with the celebration or the consciousness of mental health in the world today. So let's start as we start all our meeting with 20 conscious connected breathing. Wilfried, what about that?
That's wonderful. Yes, let's have 20 connected, nice breaths.
Let's I'll do with my eyes open. All of us together. And drop it down. And the long one. And let it go. Last set. Isn't it nice to start our meetings like this? So, my name is Viola Edwards, and I'm who I am today thanks to psychotherapy and thanks to breathwork. For that, I don't miss an opportunity to spread about these two major things that had happened in my life to make me these healthy women and inspired women with life and honoring life every moment I can. Today, I am sharing the screen, the scenario with my dear colleague, friend, and teacher, Wilfried Ehrmann, psychotherapist based in Vienna, Austria, trained in person-centered counseling, breathwork, bodywork, systemic constellation work, and peak state work, including trauma healing, working with clients and groups since 1987. Main trainer of the Atman training project, the Integrative Breathwork, national representative of International Breathwork Foundation, and author of several articles, several like 200, and various books. It's my pleasure and honor today to be talking with Wilfried. And both of us, we are representative in our countries or the countries where we are living now. I used to be a representative for Venezuela, and now I am for Cyprus of the IBF, International Breathwork Foundation. It's a nonprofit global network of people using conscious breathing for health, well-being, and personal growth, with members in 42 countries worldwide. It was created in 1994, and since 2016, IBF has a special consultative status for the Social Economic Council of the UN. IBF supports the 2030 global goals, sustainable goal, through different actions. Mental health and well-being is the goal number 3. Education, because we have the program of conscious breathing in the classroom and conscious breathing for trauma recovery. Science and research partnership with other organizations, and World Breathing Day on April 11 to spread the awareness of the importance of conscious breathing around the world and the importance of clear air as vital importance for the entire humanity. So here we are today, and we're going to be talking about psychotherapy and breathwork. Welcome, Wilfried.
Thank you for the invitation. It's a pleasure for me.
Always pleasure to see you and to hear you and to learn more from you. So, Wilfried, you have practiced psychotherapy before knowing breathwork. What has breathwork add to this practice, to your practice as psychotherapist?
Of course, breath work brings you in contact with your body on a deeper level. So it helps you really to feel yourself as a whole. So you're not only working on the cognitive level or going to the emotions, but always connecting these two levels of our being with our body in terms of sensations, feelings, and symptoms that are stored in this beautiful body we all have.
Yes, yes. And we all
Yeah.
have, and we age so beautifully and so thankfully because of this connection with life. Wilfried, I'm currently studying one of the papers you did maybe some years ago about psychotherapy and conscious breathing. And my dearest Alicia Haida from Poland passed it to me, and I'm fascinated. Like, kind of, I don't pass through because every time I read a page, I find it so important that I go back to that page. So, and you have a very beautiful distinction between what is breath and what is breathing. Could you tell us about this here?
Well, breathing, you could say, is what everybody does. It's like an organic process and what the basic metabolistic system that we have with this beautiful two sides to it, that it works unconsciously all the time, and on the other side we can consciously have an influence and impact on the way we breathe. So there are unconscious patterns we have in our breathing, which we then can change by altering our breathing consciously. And this brings about changes on a deep level inside of our psyche. Now, the breath as such is something which is beyond our own concepts, because breath is something which is not owned by us but which flows through us. So it brings us more into a holistic concept of being a human. As humans, we are always whole, and the breath is like a symbol for that wholeness that we uh, are, and that we want to reach also with the means of all the psychotherapeutic approaches, like health in a broader sense means being whole. It's even connected in the world and in also other traditions and languages. We have these connections between being whole and being healthy.
Yes,
Yeah, so to
yes,
become
thank you.
whole being.
All being. And that link very, very much with this systemic constellation work that you did
Mhm.
in combination with breath work. Would you like to tell us what does it mean being systemic? What does it mean?
Yeah, well, the systemic approach in my worldview is like an enlargement of the personalistic worldview. Personalistic concept is that there are individuals who want to become whole on the journey of their life, on their inner search, but that every individual is connected to other individuals, and so you cannot really separate an individual out of these systemic connections we always have and which always influence our and change our inner being and change who we are. So like when we talk, when we have this talk, both of us change during this process of talking. We are not the same person we were before this talk, both of us. But it's not in our control in which way we change. in which way you change me and in which way I change you.
But if we are conscious of how connected you are with me in this, as I am, if we are conscious that I am a systemic being, that everything is connected, is my inner self and the way how I express myself in the outside world. Also, it's easier for me to see how much I'm connected with you, because I already feel this connection and interaction between all my being. Mm-hmm. For that, in IBF, we are so connected with the SDGs, and especially the number 17, when we said, let's do partnership, let's ally to create the change, and let's don't leave anybody behind. Nobody should be left behind, because everybody is part of us. Everybody is part of us. So this is how we englobe the whole globe. So, and there is something that all of us we do, and all of us we have the right to do, and we do while we're alive, and this is the breath. So how beautiful it is to be connected to our breath, first in ourselves, and later connect my breath with your breath, and knowing how much we have the right to everything, because we are alive here, honoring this breath. So in that sense, I understand systemic, and also how much we are exposed to systems that are created outside, and we think, no, we're not. But if we live in the desert, or if we live in different climate condition, we are conditioned, isn't it? We are connected with the outside system too. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah. Let me give an example, like an actual example. The pandemic we are facing today shows us this so clearly. As long as anybody on this planet suffers from this infection, we all kind of suffer from that, because we all can be infected by this person which is still infected. So we are all connected. Either we manage as humanity to uh, overcome this infection, or we all will be connected in being infected in one way or the other, or having to prevent us as long as uh, anybody on this planet suffers.
Indeed, indeed. So coming back to mental health, in your opinion, how is it a person with mental health fitness, a person who is in form in his or her mental health?
Well, it's a person who is aligned with himself or herself. That means is in inner balance. And this, on the physical level, is a balance in the autonomous nervous system. It's also a balance between mind, emotional, and physical level, including connection to spirit. It's somebody who is in a relaxed mode, equanimous, and who is open-hearted and empathetic. So somebody who can value connection to other people and uh, uh, is able to create flow in a relaxed way with other people, so that there is an atmosphere of trust and harmony.
Yes, yes. So how much it take us to be in that space? And what is it that, in your opinion, as a holistic psychotherapist, that you do so many different methodologies and techniques, what is it that a person has to do? Let's talk about youth, for example. If we're back to our youth, or if we have a client now, or a friend, or one of our kids which are in their early 20s, what is it that they would have to do to be in that space?
Well, first, they need a clarity of their inner self and of their shadow sides. So the understanding that everybody has a light side and a shadow side. Or
Yes.
you also could say that we have a history and a narrative of our past, which is a story of success, pleasure, and happiness. And we have a narrative and a story to ourselves, which uh, is related to the traumas and hurts and shamings we were exposed to during our life.
Yes.
Create our shadow side, and mental health means becoming more and more aware of these shadow sides, like bringing light into all these uh, unresolved issues which block our inner being on a physical, emotional, and mental level.
Yes. And how the conscious breathing can make it more dynamic, more systemic, more useful, and more deep.
With breathwork, we reach all of these levels. We access them and bring them to consciousness, because all these levels um, have their shadow sides, have their impact from unresolved issues of our past. And with breathing, they come to the surface. And so, and the breath also helps us to go through these um, experiences, which can be painful, uh, unpleasant, burdening, worrying, fearful, whatsoever. But the breath is like the guide when we have our walk through the different halls of our inner hell.
You have to repeat that for our audience. The breath is like the guide that
that guides us through all the halls of our inner hell.
inner hell.
Yes, we all have these abysses inside, these dark rooms where demons and monsters hide, which are just shadow sides of ourselves.
Tell me about it. If I tell you a little bit about that, I just gonna tell you my my citizenship trajectory. Like born in Iraq, moved at 4 to Lebanon, migrate at 13 to Venezuela, and lived there for 30 years, and now living in Cyprus. For some reason, all these countries that I passed through have so much pain, so much history of pain and losses and separation. And as an empathetic person myself, since I'm a child, as a person who had suffered all this separation because of pain, death, war, you name it, imagine how it is so important for me at this age of my life that I'm 62 and I already lived more than the double of what my dad lived, how it is so important for me to be grounded and to be breathing and to be thankful and to be aware of any residual of shadow that can take me back to those several hells that I had experienced in my life. And I think many people like me, when we were looking for some relief, maybe we choose the wrong relief that will make us more prisoner of the shadow, which is the subject of addiction. And later it takes us long years to understand that and to get out of the another prison that in a way we put in ourselves, apart from all the others that life imposed on us. So for that, I'm so thankful to conscious connected breathing, to conscious breathing, because not only psychotherapeutically I could understand my processes, but with conscious breathing, I could manage to heal the trauma in a somatic way that were held in my body. Because after many years of therapy, I could not understand how my body posture will not change, and how my smile will not come automatically, and how I still have so much impact of that pain, even though I would have certain success in my life. And it was with the breath, conscious breathing, that I managed to liberate in a holistic way what was left as memory in my body. And that is very beautiful. And I welcome all of you, our colleagues, psychotherapists, psychologists, psychiatrists, whoever work with the human behavior, to come and to connect with us and connect with IBF and see what we can do together with these taking conscious breathing all over the world, because it can be a methodology that we can work as unique as by itself, but it's so easy to add on to any other treatment that the person is doing for recovery or for expansion, because people don't go to psychotherapy only to deal with their health. Also, sometimes we go to see what's else for us, how I can broaden my vision, what else I can do for others. Isn't it, Wilfried?
Yes,
Yes.
wonderfully put. Thank you.
Thank you. So, what can you tell us about the conscious breathing in processes of recovery from trauma and addiction, in your experience?
The breath um, connects us with ourselves on a deep level, on a constant level, and um, is like a big support for any methodology we use in trauma healing. So when we do breathwork techniques with more intense breathing, like in holotropic breathwork or rebirthing, transformational breathing, then through this intense way of breathing, traumas can be opened up, and it needs well-skilled therapists to guide through this process, so that all this unconscious material that comes up from past traumas can be safely integrated. Um,
Indeed.
and there we often also need other tools or other approaches, uh, for instance, also on the verbal level, or uh, on the emotional level.
Yes. I'm going here. Thank you. Thank you. And for that, it's very important to be with well-trained people, and in IBF and in GPB, a Global Bread Professional Alliance. We have all these standards of what does it mean, and what does it mean, how are the training, and what do they have as a minimum to be really considered as a professional training. So now it's all there in our website, and you have a breathwork almost in every corner of the world. And if you don't, just connect with us again with IBF website, and you will find somebody in your area. And nowadays there is so many colleagues that I are doing work online, so also it's even easier. Same thing with therapeutical process. You can find us there. Who of us are? We are also psychotherapists, and if not, you can connect with us directly, and we will find a way to support you. So please, one thing I ask you, one thing I wish for you, is that nobody should leave their loneliness and their pain alone. And I know almost all of us, we tried that. I was one that I would hide. I will be very bubbly and social, but when I would be facing my darkness, I will hide. And look, that guide me to that way I told you before. So now I understand, and never again leave my pain alone. I just ask for help. So I personally practice positive psychotherapy, apart from other methodology. And the principle of positive psychotherapy are three principles for well-being. One, is that positum is coming from Latin, and it means what is there, what is given. And all of us, we have quality gifts and marvelous characteristic that will help us. We can get over it. We are resilient. We can learn. Also, it means to see the whole picture, not only focus in the dark side of the picture. The second principle is the principle of balance, as Wilfried explained to us before, how important to be in balance. But then Dr. Nosrat Bezeshkian will say, life will take you out of balance. Learn and go back to balance. And then life will take you out of balance again. And that's life about. And then the third principle is the principle of consultancy. When life takes you out of balance, you have the positum to look inside and be able to help you as much as possible, as much as you know. But there are certain challenges that we cannot do with the self and for the self. So there where the third principle enter is the principle of consultancy, to ask for help for somebody else, for the specialist. And if it's more holistic, is the best. Then you will learn. You will not only go to alleviate whatever is the cause, you will also understand what is not only the symptom, the cause, and you will learn a methodology to be able to use the rest of your life. And whenever you are, as a breath worker, I have been doing session in a train, in a car, in the mountain, wherever is a tool that you take with you wherever you go. So this is the beauty of connecting with something so organic as our breath and become professional with it, isn't it, Wilfried?
Yes, you're right.
Yes, yes. Wilfried, tell us about your book. Some years ago, we were talking with you about your book of coherent breathing,
Yes.
and how important it was. We were talking together about Michael, who was having his rhythm of the heart was all ups and down. And then you gave us this beautiful session about the importance of coherent breathing in many ways in our life. Could you explain to us a little bit more about your book?
Yes, coherent breathing is a special and easy to learn breathwork method, which is uh, aimed at everyone. So everyone can learn this tool quite easily to improve the quality of one's life. So it works with 4 principles. Principle 1 is slow breathing. That means 3 to 6 breaths per minute. Equal length of in-breath and out-breath. Relaxed exhalation. And medium depth. Besides
Medium?
depth, so you use like half of the volume of the maximum volume of your breathing intake or your vital capacity.
Yes.
And uh, in addition to that, we always do it through the nose, which is
Yes.
also a basic principle which we teach to our clients. To breathe through the nose is except when it doesn't is not possible for other reasons, like me in the moment when I talk, then I have to breathe through my mouth.
Do you want to explain to us? I'm also a practitioner of breathing from the nose, but would you like to explain to us why it is so important to do those exercises, breathing from the nose?
The nose is our breathing organ, and it contains a lot of very sensitive areas, also in the caves of our behind our face, which need to be in the constant rhythm and flow of the breath. It's also clear that we can take in more oxygen through nose breathing, and we can not only warm up the air when it comes in, regulate it and filter it, but we also improve our immune system by using breathing through the nose. In addition to that, we now know that in the mucous areas of our nose, there is a special gas, it's nitrogen oxide, NO, which works as a reducer of inflammation in all areas of our body, but mainly in our lungs. So everybody who is suffering from some inflammatory disease of the lung, like COVID, should use nasal breathing as much as possible. And it also works in relaxing all the vessels in our body, including the bronchia and bronchioles.
So, Wilfred, for people who went through the process of having the infection of COVID and get out of it, but still, like I got pneumonia some years ago, and it took me, apart from the time of the treatment, I think it took me like really a year to feel myself again. Mm-hmm. Like I was, it took me the 2 weeks in the hospital and another 2 months of slow recovery. But later I was active, I was okay, but I could see that I was not myself. So what about COVID, and what are the most important exercises people have to do, those people who were exposed already to COVID?
Well, coherent breathing, for instance, is a good help for any kind of disease you have or you had, because it improves the immune system and it balances our autonomic nervous system. When we inhale, we use the sympathetic branch of our autonomous nervous system. When we exhale, we use the parasympathetic branch. They both have to be in balance. Most people, especially those who suffer from lung diseases, but also people who suffer from stress, have difficulties in relaxing their exhalation. When we don't relax our breathing in the process of exhalation, then we don't use the parasympathetic system. But our sympathetic system, which is the stress system, governs both inhalation and exhalation. And this, on the long run, depletes our parasympathetic nervous system, which diminishes our ability to regenerate, to recuperate, and to heal ourselves. Because parasympathetic nervous system is, on the anatomic level, basically the vagal nerve. The vagal nerve is the nervous system in our body, and it's also called the inner healer.
Yes, I have been learning a lot about it. Yes. So I was having for you a question about that, how we're gonna close our meeting today, talking about mental health, relaxation, time of uncertainty. How can we become more autonomous in our decision in life and having clarity about our shadow? And what does it mean, the healing process of coherent breathing too, and the vagal nerve? Yeah, how we can match all these things together to have better quality of life.
When we can engage more into the parasympathetic system and strengthen this part inside of us, then we also have access to this relaxed way of viewing the world. Like the more relaxed we are, the more relaxed and open we can meet the world. And the more we see from the world, the broader our view is, the clearer our inner position can become. So anything that closes us up, anything that narrows us ourselves up, anything that puts pressure or increases pressure we have inside, um, also in also diminishes our clarity, our self-consciousness, and our self-awareness. When we know who we are, then we know what our mission is in this world, and then we know what we have to give, and then we know what is in line with our mission or what not. And the
Indeed.
clearer the view is on what people need, including ourselves.
And I find out also that as more as we know about our purpose, about mission, about our vision, and we expand and we really meet first the self and then the others and the world, also that guide us, that give us the power to set boundaries on time. And setting boundaries on time, for me, it has been a huge because I'm coming from a victimhood. I'm coming from poor me, look all what happened to me. Therefore, one of my habits used to be is that another, look, this is another thing that is happening to me. Yeah. So the dialogue will be inside of my system, but I could not set the boundary outside. I managed in some moment to run, but I didn't manage to say no. And for me, this is one of my thing. I work a lot with women, especially with women. Also, men need to learn how to say no, but especially with women, is how to set boundaries on time, because we can save ourselves from a lot of violence, misunderstanding, wrong relationship, wrong work, even wrong country that we've been dreaming to go there, if we know how to set boundary on time. But that's only as possible if we learn how to have the inner freedom to be able to say yes firmly and no sweetly, until it has to be more firmly, of course. So part of that, but it is very important to be able then to breathe consciously and to be able to understand what does it mean to embrace life consciously. Because as we have the ability to breathe, we have life, and as we have life, we have infinite possibility to change and to transform. And this is where we are here with you today, talking about all these subjects and hoping that you will never, 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 never again be alone in any pain, doubt, or shame. Just ask for help and find any of us to support you. Yes, Wilfried, what else we would say to conclude with this beautiful conversation we're having?
Yeah, I would say that everybody could use the breath to become friends with oneself and become friends with all the other breathing beings, so that we can get the sense of family and belonging and caring for one another.
Amen. Yes, this is what I think, and this is why you could see many of us with a beautiful smile, and I would say it's not just a smile in the outside, it's a smile in the inside when you learn how to embrace life and how to breathe consciously and catch and help others to this infinite possibility of life. So I am Viola Edward, and I'm most grateful to have shared this beautiful sacred place with my colleague and teacher, Wilfried Ehrmann. I will learn that name, that last name, to pronounce it well one day. And we will be having in IBF more interviews and more conversation like this with many of us, different of us, to share with you our treasures and also our curiosity, because when I was asking about the coherent breathing with Wilfried, I know that Wilfried, as he's teaching, is always learning. And that is what makes us this bubbly being, because we are always learning more things and all the extension that conscious breath can take us and the human behavior can take us. So thank you so much for being here with us, and see you very soon in any other celebration that we have in IBF. Thank you, Wilfried.
Thank you very much for inviting. Thank you very much for the talk we could have. Thank you very much for the being you are.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.